Welcome back to another episode of The Radio Psychs, your premier podcast for insights into everything mental health. I'm Dr. Aaron Haddock.
And I'm Dr. Rhonda Yu. We're psychologists who care about people and bringing science to practice.
And we're so glad to have you join us.
Please note that the information shared in this episode is solely intended for informational and entertainment purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical or mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Today's topic is caffeine and alcohol.
What is that?
I think it's the battle of the stimulants and the depressants.
So, it has begun.
Are they doing kung fu?
Yes. Yes, they are.
Okay, that's enough of that.
Okay, let's get started. Today, we're going to talk about caffeine and alcohol and what happens when we combine the two.
In the US, about 85% of the population consumes at least one caffeinated drink a day, with coffee accounting for well over half of the caffeinated beverages consumed.
And according to the most recent national survey on drug use and health conducted in 2022, over half of adults reported that they drank alcohol in the past month.
So there are quite a few people out there who consume caffeine and alcohol. But how many people mix them?
We don't exactly have a count of how many people do this, but we do know it happens often enough for it to have been considered a rapidly growing phenomenon, especially among young people. In a national survey conducted in 2017, 32% of young adults reported drinking alcohol mixed with energy drinks at least once in the past year.
And adolescents are doing it too. Another national survey conducted that same year found that about 11% of students in grades 8, 10, and 12 mixed alcohol and energy drinks at least once in the past year.
That's right. And look at all the caffeinated alcoholic beverages, also known as CABs, made available over the past couple of decades.
They were so popular at the turn of the century. This makes me think of Irish and Mexican coffees.
And Jaeger bombs.
Yeah, those too. Now, caffeine, as we've shared in our earlier episode on coffee, is a stimulant in that it stimulates the central nervous system by antagonizing adenosine receptors, heightening alertness and focus.
And then we have alcohol, a known depressant that enhances the inhibitory neurotransmitter GABA, which induces a state of relaxation.
Now, imagine these two forces meeting in a glass. Take a boozy iced coffee, for example, which combines cold brew coffee and vodka. What happens when these contrasting characters come together?
Picture it like a seesaw. Caffeine is on one side, lifting your mood and attention, while alcohol is on the other, trying to bring things down. This seesaw can create a delicate balance, affecting how we feel and think.
And there's some interesting research that shows that caffeine may help to cancel out some of the impairing effects of alcohol.
So does this mean we can sober up with a shot of espresso?
That's a good question. Now, coffee can make us feel more awake and potentially counteract the mellowing effects of alcohol. But we need to understand the limitations. Even if caffeine helps to offset some of the impairing effects of alcohol, it doesn't eliminate the overall impairment.
So, going back to that seesaw we described earlier, caffeine may lift your mood and attention a bit, but alcohol is still on the other side, affecting your coordination and decision-making.
Right. Now, let's talk about the perception of intoxication.
Sure. Studies suggest that caffeine can reduce the perceived impairment caused by alcohol.
A key word there is perceived. Imagine you've had a few drinks, and then grab a cup of coffee. The caffeine might make you feel more in control, masking the actual impairment.
It's kind of like putting on rose-colored glasses. Things might look better than they actually are.
Mixing caffeine and alcohol is something we see in various social gatherings. What do we know about how it impacts our behavior around others?
The common belief is that combining caffeine and alcohol increases sociability, that it makes people feel more talkative and engaged.
Sort of like an elixir for extroversion then.
Yeah, sort of.
So that's what a lot of people think. But is that right? Does combining caffeine with alcohol really increase sociability?
That's the crux of the matter. The research doesn't uniformly support this belief. While there are some indications that the combination might influence sociability, it's crucial to approach this with caution.
Combining caffeine and alcohol may also heighten anxiety in certain individuals. such as those with pre-existing anxiety disorders who are sensitive to stimulants or prone to panic attacks. But individual responses can vary widely.
And the context, dosage, and specific circumstances in which people mix caffeine and alcohol also play a role in shaping what happens.
We also need to consider how excessive consumption can lead to risky behaviors and potentially dangerous situations.
Yeah, consuming a mix of alcohol and caffeine that makes you think you're in control when you're really not just sounds like a recipe for trouble. In a study published in 2013 in the Journal of Caffeine Research, researchers found that college students who drank cabs were twice as likely to get physically hurt, ride with an intoxicated driver, take advantage of someone sexually, or be taken advantage of sexually compared to those who didn't.
This really raises questions about its impact on decision making and mental health in the long run, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Ultimately, it's just not a safe practice. There is no research that says it's safe to mix alcohol and caffeine. In fact, the FDA recommended against the consumption of cabs in 2010, citing the opposing influences of caffeine and alcohol.
Yeah, they called out manufacturers of cabs and warned them that the caffeine they added to their alcoholic beverages was considered an unsafe food additive.
They also asserted that consumption often leads people to drink more than they normally would because caffeine masks the sensory cues used to assess intoxication.
The research appears to support this. Those who drink caffeinated alcoholic beverages are more likely to engage in risky drinking behavior compared to those who don't. In one study, researchers found drinkers who mixed alcohol with energy drinks, which contain caffeine, were 4 times more likely to binge drink compared to drinkers who didn't.
In another study published in the Journal of Addictive Behaviors, researchers found that people who drank cabs were 3 times more likely to leave a bar highly intoxicated, and 4 times more likely to want to drive after leaving the bar, compared to those who didn't.
So that's our time for today. As we conclude, it's essential to acknowledge the complexities and potential risks associated with this combination.
The evidence suggests that mixing alcohol and caffeine is not a straightforward or risk-free endeavor. From impaired judgment to the masking of intoxication cues, the consequences can be significant.
It's clear that responsible consumption is paramount. Understanding the effects on mood, sociability, and impairment is crucial for making informed choices.
So, as you navigate the realms of caffeine and alcohol, do so with mindfulness and an awareness of the potential impact on your mental and physical well-being. Take care and be well, everybody.
Take care and be well.